This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Next up, the Illinois primary. Bob Dole now says he'll try to stop George Bush's Super Tuesday speeding bullet train in Illinois next Tuesday. Bush is talking up the idea that he is now unstoppable. Bush now has 2/3 of the delegates he needs for the nomination. No one else is close. A different Super Tuesday story for the Democrats, one that raises the increased possibility of a brokered nomination. No one far and away front-runner for convention delegates emerged from the muddle. Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis scored well as a son of the Northeast. So did two very different sons of the South, Al Gore and Jesse Jackson. CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer is here tonight to report on the reckoning Wednesday after Super Tuesday. Bob?
Dan, for the Democrats, what lies ahead is still unclear, as they say, but the way George Bush is telling it now, he has seen the future and he likes it.
I'm going to be the next president of the United States.
It will be a while before we know if he's right about that, but Republican strategists agree he's a long way down the road to the Republican nomination.
His performance yesterday was so strong that it will take a defeat right away to stop the momentum of that.
Bush has always done best where Ronald Reagan is most popular, and the Super Tuesday states were Ronald Reagan country. Voters in yesterday's Republican contest gave the president some of his highest approval ratings ever, 82%. But that was just part of it. By a margin of 3-1, Republicans said they liked George Bush, while his main rival Bob Dole generated far less enthusiasm.
I didn't expect to be handed this nomination. I expected to earn it, and that's just what I intend to do.
A tall order to be sure, but the declaration came at the Chicago hospital where Dole once recovered from his war wounds, and in the state where he now says he'll begin his political comeback. But while the Republican race may be all but over, the Democratic contest is still wide open. Dukakis of Massachusetts picked off the biggest prizes, Florida and Texas, and also romped to victory closer to home in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Relying heavily on the black vote, Jesse Jackson swept the Deep South, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Virginia. And in something of a surprise, Gore of Tennessee won big in the border states, taking his home state along with Kentucky, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and North Carolina.
Anybody who feels that my message of standing up for working men and women is only going to play in the South, that conventional wisdom is wrong too.
In fact, Gore not only did well in the border states, he was a second choice to Jackson in the Deep South. The question now, can he go national?
Al Gore's been very smart. He's moved from an ideological message in the South to the North, where he's talking about being the candidate of change.
And on the Republican side, Pat Robertson finally managed to win one last night, the caucuses of Washington State, and his campaign seems to be fading. But for Republican Jack Kemp, it was just the latest in a series of bad news nights. Sources say he'll officially drop out tomorrow. Dan?
Thanks, Bob. The inventors of Super Tuesday in the Democratic Party wanted to steer the nomination to a Southern moderate, or at least a moderate from somewhere, and keep down Democratic voter defections to the Republicans in November. There's been a lot of talk that with black activist Jesse Jackson and Northern ethnic Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis getting a lift out of Super Tuesday, along with Al Gore, that Super Tuesday was a washout. CBS News national affairs correspondent Leslie Stahl has been digging beneath the surface and finds the Super Tuesday Southern strategy may have paid off for its inventors after all. Leslie?
Dan, one big surprise yesterday was how few Democrats crossed over to vote in the Republican primary. On Super Tuesdays, planners had hoped to lure Democrats who've been voting Republican back to the Democratic Party. It appears they did.
According to the CBS News New York Times exit polls, only 5% of those who voted Republican yesterday were Democrats. Equally important, 37% of those who voted Democratic went for Ronald Reagan last time around. And look who brought them back. The son of the South choice of the Super Tuesday planners, Al Gore, who proved he could jumpstart a campaign in the South after ignoring Iowa and New Hampshire.
The great fallacy of the idea that Super Tuesday would lead to millions of converts to the Republican Party was that people assumed that these voters were attracted to the Republicans for any reason other than Ronald Reagan.
About a quarter of the pro-Reagan Democrats say they'll defect again in November, but most are not yet prepared to switch for George Bush, or for that matter, any Republican. The other son of the South, Jesse Jackson, did a lot better than the Super Tuesday planners ever imagined. He got 91% of the black vote and 7% of the whites. In Massachusetts, he did even better, with 17% of the whites, but they were not exactly the group of disgruntled blue-collar workers he's been targeting.
They're college educated. They think of themselves as liberals. They work in white-collar occupations. It's much more a Peugeot proletariat than it is a workers' rebellion for Jesse Jackson.
Issues seem to have little impact on how Southerners voted. For example, defense was way down on the list.
Mike Dukakis tells us he wants to eliminate 2 full carrier battle groups.
That apparent lack of concern could rob Republicans like George Bush of a weapon they plan to use against any liberal Democrat in the general election. That's good news for Michael Dukakis, and so is this, that only 21% of the Southern Democrats who voted for him thought of him as liberal. Dan?
Thank you, Leslie. The presidential candidates came off Super Tuesday today trying to position themselves for the coming contest in the industrial North, starting with Illinois March 15th. For both Republicans and Democrats, Illinois is a key race for different reasons. Our chief political correspondent, Bruce Morton, is our advance man in Illinois.
We're going to be campaigning full blast right here in the state of Illinois.
They campaigned here in Illinois with confidence today. Why not? Weren't they winners?
We're going to give it everything we have, as we have in every single state and caucus in the country.
But it may not be that simple. Something important happened here today. Paul Simon said he was staying in because no Democrat would be able to win a first ballot nomination.
We'll be very clear as people start putting the figures together that no one's going to be a first ballot nominee.
So the nomination will be negotiated for, bargained for, and Simon wants enough delegates to be one of the bargainers. Here in Illinois, where delegates are elected individually and his slate includes a lot of local names, he may do very well.
I think he can. I think that's because there is no clear alternative to Paul in his home state.
On the Republican side, it's much simpler. Bob Dole is fighting for his life.
We're going to win the state of Illinois. That's going to be very important. This is the turnaround state.
Cook County Chairman Dan Totten, who was for Kemp, isn't sure.
He's not out of it. If I was to bet today, I'd bet on George Bush winning, though.
Life or death for Dole. But what about all those Democrats, the ones campaigning here, and Dick Gephardt, who's concentrating on Michigan?
It's pretty simple. I think we're going to have to produce a victory, and I think we're pointing towards Michigan on March 26th.
But for Delegate Leader Dukakis to win a first ballot nomination, he'd have to win 63% of all the delegates still to be chosen. Given the Democrats' reliance on proportional representation, that may be impossible. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Chicago.
And so the prospect of a brokered nomination increases. President Reagan said today that he's still staying publicly neutral in the Republican nomination fight to succeed him. That didn't stop Mr. Reagan's White House Chief of Staff, Howard Baker, from saying that, quote, it would take a major event to deny the nomination to George Bush. President Reagan himself was on a public relations and photo opportunity tour today, a trip apparently designed to plant deeper in public consciousness one of the images Mr. Reagan likes best, the image of him as the Gipper. Bill Plant went along.
President Reagan, stuck on the sidelines during the battle to succeed him, chose to ignore politics for an exercise in pure nostalgia at the University of Notre Dame, the setting for a memorable role during his acting career.
Go and get a uniform, report to the scrubs.
Why?
Because I think you'd make a football player.
I doubt it.
Try it anyway.
All right, if you insist.
Now, wait a minute. What's your name?
Gipp. George Gipp.
That portrayal of George Gipp earned Ronald Reagan a lifelong nickname and a lifelong affinity to Notre Dame and its legendary football coach, Knute Rockne, honored today with a commemorative stamp.
Rockne exemplified the American spirit of never giving up. That spirit's the reason why you and your generation are going to succeed.
For Ronald Reagan, today's event was a celebration of the America he knows best, a land where myth and reality mix easily, and where the line between them is often blurred.
Ronald Reagan lives in a world, as well as the world of reality, in a world of legend and myth. He's very happy there.
For Ronald Reagan, there is no argument about whether life imitates art. It always has. As with these famous lines from the Rockney film, he's perfectly comfortable mixing political present with cinematic past.
Sometime when the team is up against it, and the brakes are beating the boys,
Tell them to go out there with all they've got and win just one for the gibbet.
Even if he does occasionally misread the name. Bill Plant, CBS News, South Bend.
And still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, correspondent Richard Schlesinger on the trial of a high school boy who admits that he is a thrill killer. And correspondent Bernard Goldberg on a kid pitcher working at spring training on a different kind of shutout.
It took 2,000 years, but a revolutionary discovery is changing the way men think about coloring their gray hair. It's called Just for Men, from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, shampoo out. Your gray is blended away, leaving your natural-looking color. 5 minutes. Here, look at me. Just for Men leaves your hair looking healthy and fuller, and it won't fade or wash out. Just for Men, in the men's hair care section.
We know how you love shrimp.
A great deal of shrimp. Whoa, what a deal.
Even kids love shrimp.
Shrimp, 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 shrimp. Did we say shrimp? Just checking.
We know how you love shrimp.
Red Lobster Shrimp Festival. Try the shrimp and crab leg feast, just $10.95 on Fridays and Saturdays only.
I want to know where every dollar is going, and MCI tells me where every phone call is going. Every single call.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be.
If you're concerned about heart disease and your doctor advises exercise, the right foods, and an aspirin a day, you should know that heart specialists recommend
Ecotrin more than Bayer when they're concerned about aspirin irritation because it's safety-coated. Ecotrin, the one heart specialists recommend.
The tragedy began as what the military described as a routine night mission. And then, 250 feet in the air, 2 helicopters hit each other and crashed, spewing wreckage for yards along the rolling border between Kentucky and Tennessee. Today, counting the dead, the Army faced its worst air disaster in more than 2 years. Bruce Hall was on the scene.
Investigators are trying to find out why 2 military Black Hawk helicopters collided in midair, killing all 17 soldiers aboard. Officials say 3 helicopters were flying in formation at approximately 100 miles per hour in a nighttime blackout drill.
A 4th aircraft that was not a part of their flight approached them from the south and ended up colliding with the lead aircraft in that 3.
Military air traffic controllers had the planes on radar, but there is no indication if the controllers and pilots were talking to each other. The Black Hawk is one of the military's newest helicopters, but it has been plagued with problems and has been grounded 4 times in the past 3 years. There have been 8 serious accidents with the Black Hawks, killing at least 40 people. However, last December, military officials said they were confident all of the problems with the helicopter had been corrected.
Although the Army and the 101st lives with threat and injury and death, each day it never comes easy when a tragedy strikes.
Fort Campbell is still trying to get over the Christmas crash of 1985, when 248 soldiers lost their lives when a plane bringing them home for the holidays crashed in Newfoundland. And now this crash is the worst U.S. military aviation disaster since the Newfoundland accident. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Another foreign military strongman is reportedly under indictment tonight by a U.S. federal grand jury. Drug-running charges. Correspondent Rita Braver reports on the indictment of a top Haitian Army official, widely feared in his own country, now wanted in this country.
Justice Department sources say a federal grand jury in Miami has indicted Haitian military leader Colonel Jean-Claude Paul on 5 counts of conspiracy to import, distribute, and sell cocaine. The indictment has been sealed so the State Department can officially inform the Haitian government. Paul controls Haiti's largest military force, is considered extremely violent, and is an important power behind the new civilian president, Leslie Manigat. Last month, CBS News broadcast charges by a witness who told the grand jury he helped fly in the drugs for Paul.
He was the one who supplied us with the landing field and the cocaine.
The U.S. is unsure what response Paul's formal indictment will provoke. But Haiti, like Panama, is just one of the Caribbean countries where law enforcement officials say top national officials are either directly involved in or indirectly helping the drug trade. Then there are countries like Mexico, where powerful local officials allegedly deal drugs, and Colombia, where the drug lords have virtually taken over the nation. The problem is compounded because the U.S. constantly deals with most of these countries on a diplomatic level. In fact, a special House task force today convened hearings to study the international drug situation, and the news was grim.
I think it would be difficult to say that they're making a hell of a lot of progress. I would say the good guys are trying harder, but the bad guys are so far ahead that we are not catching up yet.
One administration official today said privately, "We may have made a mistake. We thought the real threat to this country was the communists when it was the drug dealers, and we didn't pay enough attention until it was too late." Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
The State Department today denied a report last evening by CBS News correspondent Doug Donnell on this broadcast that UN envoy Vernon Walters met secretly last weekend in Tunis with a top PLO official. Quoting a State Department spokesman now, "That story is a complete fabrication. Somebody's been had," end quote. In Geneva, Ambassador Walters today called the story, quote, "nonsense." CBS News President Howard Stringer says CBS News stands by correspondent Donnell's report. The Reagan administration said today that after a 6-month ban, it is now allowing the resumption of computer and other high-tech exports to mainland China. As Chinese Foreign Minister Wu ended 3 days of talks in Washington, the State Department said it accepts China's pledge that it is not selling silkworm missiles to Iran. In another sign of warming relations, the foreign minister said today that China has agreed in principle to accept U.S. Peace Corps volunteers. The Soviet TASS news agency told today of a bloody hijack attempt. It happened yesterday when gunmen tried to take over a domestic Aeroflot flight. TASS says the attempt was foiled, but not before a stewardess and 3 passengers were killed. It is not known how the hijackers were subdued or how many were involved, but TASS says, quote, most were killed.
Bob Hendon doesn't know it, but something else is about to interrupt his trip. Pain. As Bob's gotten older, he gets more aches and pains. That's why his next move is to Metaprin. Metaprin has the same medicine as Motrin, and nothing's proven faster for relief of body pain or any kind of pain. It's also gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Metaprin works fast when you haven't got time for the pain.
When your coffee's rich enough for all working day long, and it tastes your way.
It's necessarily Nescafe, great coffee blends to change the way. That's necessarily Nescafe.
What could top an antacid that works great, that's sodium-free and calcium-rich? Great cherry taste. Cherry-flavored calcium-rich Rolaids antacid. The relief you want, the taste you desire.
When the burning, itching, and soreness of hemorrhoids flare up, Tux medicated pads give you soothing, cooling relief on contact. For hemorrhoid flare-up, get Tux from Park Davis.
Closing defense arguments today in the trial of a 15-year-old accused of killing a classmate with a baseball bat just for the thrill of it. At issue is whether the killer was legally deranged at the time of the murder in November 1986. But almost as chilling as the crime itself are the accounts of how the young killer's friends reacted. Richard Schlesinger reports on an American tragedy.
There is no mystery about the murder 15-year-old Rod Matthews committed. He not only admits he killed his classmate Sean Willett, he openly discussed plans for the murder with friends.
He said he was going to kill Sean to see what it felt like. And then he didn't think anybody would miss him. That's why he was going to kill him.
Matthews planned the murder for a month. He even sent a note to a high school teacher saying, "Lately I want to kill people I hate." No one took him seriously until Matthews lured his victim to some woods and beat him over the head with a baseball bat.
He told me he was gonna, after he killed Sean, he was gonna cut off his arm and legs and toss them.
Matthews did not follow through on that threat, but that was the only deviation from what prosecutors say was a deliberate plan. Sean Willette's body was found in these woods 3 weeks after he was murdered. According to testimony at the trial, Rod Matthews brought friends of his back here to show them the body, to prove what he had done. After they saw the body, Matthews and his friends went to a nearby pizza parlor for lunch. Finally, weeks later, one of them sent police an anonymous note telling them where to find the body. When Matthews was arrested, Sean Willette's mother led the fight to have him tried as an adult, even though he's only 15.
Age can no longer be a license to kill. It cannot. It can't. And I will go anywhere and tell that to anyone. Not as some big popular person, just as Sean's mom. That's all.
Today, Matthews' attorney in his closing argument insisted Matthews is mentally ill, not able to control his behavior.
I ask you to return a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity.
Regardless of the jury's verdict, Rod Matthews will not walk out of here free. The only question is, will he be sent to a hospital or a prison? Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Dedham, Massachusetts.
Guess what? My folks just left.
Thank you.
When a man loves a woman.
The Subaru Justy with on-demand four-wheel drive gets you anywhere you want to go, less expensively than any other four-wheel drive car.
Mr. Potts, you're home. Of course, the roads are terrible. What brings you out on a night like this, James?
I heard you got one, Fred. I just had to come over and take a look.
Yeah, wanted one all my life. Great. Look at the way it's put together. No wonder they last.
Mind if I just, sit behind the wheel? Oh, boy, would I like one of these. Can I take it for a spin?
Well, just in the front yard.
Oh, boy.
Yahoo! Nothing runs like a deer.
You've always trusted Woolite to care for your sweaters. Wouldn't you love to get that same Woolite care for your rugs and for your chairs? Well, try Woolite Deep Cleaning Rug Cleaner and Woolite Upholstery Cleaner. Trust Woolite care for rugs and chairs.
I've written a sort of educational graffiti with Old English oil. It moisturizes to help prevent drying and cracking. Brings out wood's natural beauty in the glorious manner that befits my glorious manner. Old English helps prevent drying and cracking.
In this great and green land, the show of the first crocus is no surer sign of spring's approach than the sound of Major League Baseball bat against ball. And along with spring training come the recurrent verities, the kid phenom, the KG vet, the great expectations. Our closing story concerns a kid phenom and a KG vet, but as Bernard Goldberg reports, it is a story with a change-up.
No matter what else is going on in the world, everything somehow seems right on the baseball field, especially during spring training. It's when life, at least this part of the American life, begins all over again.
Hey, work out that soreness.
Which brings us to Mike York, a 23-year-old kid with a 15-year-old face and a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. A minor leaguer in the Pittsburgh Pirates farm system, hoping, dreaming of the big leagues. The people who know about such things say Mike York could become a great major league pitcher. He's really only got one obstacle to overcome. Mike York, 23 years old, is an alcoholic.
I started off drinking on the weekends with all the guys and everything. And then it just went from Friday, Saturday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then it just kept getting worse and worse.
It got so bad, York was fired from 3 teams in 3 years. All because he got drunk a lot. But Mike York, who was an alcoholic at 18, doesn't drink anymore. He stopped, he says, when he met that man 17 months ago. That man is Sam McDowell.
Veteran lefty Sam McDowell of the Cleveland Indians.
Sam McDowell also played baseball. Like York, he also was a pitcher, a great one. Like York, he also had a blazing fastball. And like Mike York, Sam McDowell is a recovering alcoholic who was forced out of baseball because of his drinking.
I was into alcohol and drugs. I was into anything you'd give me. And I want to make doggone sure, I can't guarantee it, but I'll do my damnedest to make sure that it doesn't happen to another ball player if I have anything to say about it.
Today, Sam McDowell is an alcohol and drug counselor. His life has intertwined with Mike York's, the old-timer and the kid, the star who was and the star who still might be.
If it were not for Sam McDowell, where would you be today?
I would not have seen 30 years old. I don't believe I would have, because I would have died as a result of drinking.
Mike York. When Mike York pitched his first spring training game this week, Sam McDowell, his friend and counselor, was there, like an anxious father.
I'm a pitcher, and I do that one day at a time. It's hard at times, but
That's a motto for the alcoholic, isn't it? One day at a time.
Yes, it is, yeah. It's a motto. We take things one day at a time. That's all it is.
Is he going to make it?
The good Lord in heaven knows that answer. I think one thing about it, he's come a long ways, and if I had to bet on anyone, I'd bet on him.
You know the old sports saying, it ain't over till it's over. For Mike York, it's been over many times already. Now, it's just beginning. Bernard Goldberg, CBS News, Bradenton, Florida.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
You're ready to sell your house? Call Coldwell Banker. We don't just tell you we'll do everything we can to find you a buyer. We guarantee we'll use 18 proven marketing techniques to sell your home. We guarantee it in writing. And we wouldn't give you that guarantee if we weren't confident of one thing. Coldwell Banker. Expect the best. We guarantee it. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
No one knows I just got dentures, and I don't want anything to blow it.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream. Use Fixodent and forget it.
Second-class phones, they're making second-class phones.
Hello?
Phones
Call by 12 o'clock. Load your
phones with no tone.
Lots of people with telephones not made by AT&T are reporting some kind of complaint. When was the last time you had a complaint with an AT&T phone?
Second-class phones, they're making second-class.
Get the first-class phones of AT&T. You get what you pay for. AT&T, the right choice.
When you take Tums, you're getting an extra-strength heartburn medicine. It's a lot stronger than the number 2 brand. That's good. But Carol tells me Tums also gives us extra calcium. That's even better.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, the wrinkle remover Retin-A, the selling of a miracle drug.
Tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS. Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, 17 soldiers are dead following the collision of 2 helicopters at Fort Campbell.
There's no doubt about one thing. This is a Super Tuesday.
But has it been a Super Wednesday? We'll catch up with Al Gore on the campaign trail following his strong showing yesterday. These stories and a lot more coming up next on Eyewitness News.
Jerry's back, and he's still at it.
Come on, Paul. You know, last week on WSX, we gave away $10,000. It